Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Dear friends and followers, audience, we all know that Bangladesh is now in a critical juncture of history. In the history of Bangladesh, we have not seen such a mammoth funeral procession which just occurred 2 days ago. And this was the funeral or namaz janaza for the national hero martyred Sharif Usman Hadi. So after the spreading of news of his death, there was some occurrences took place throughout the country, including burning down some buildings and offices. So some people of our country who has soft corner for the past Awami regime, they are criticizing this burning down and they are trying to vilify the people who have burned down. So yes, it is wrong to burn down a building, but you cannot say something wrong straightforward without considering the context, because Allah also has revealed an ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 217, where it is said that in the haram month, in the sacred month, killing people is a grave sin, but obstructing people, barring or creating hindrance for the people on the way of Allah, on the way of Islam, and keeping people away from Masjid al-Haram, which was done by the Quraysh. They prohibited the Muslims to perform Salah or Tawaf in the vicinity of Kaaba. And this type of activity and expelling people from their home, or expulsion from home, is much graver. It is graver than the sin of killing a people in the month of Haram. So Allah has also taught us how to deal with this situation where something wrong is done. But by using this wrong incident or accident, the opposition party may try to take advantage against the Muslims. So similarly, this burning down is wrong, but what is the history or context behind this burning down of a building or offices? We should consider this. If we see the recent history of Bangladesh, where the police stations were burnt down in Chittagong Kotwali station, in Dhaka Jatrawali station, and so on. So anyone can say that it's a huge wrong done by the people on the 36th of July. The people who says so, they will say so because they don't know the context. They don't know that the police from those stations opened fire, were shooted many people, or killed many people. And comparing to the killing of people, this burning down of a building is nothing. Similarly, the burning down of a newspaper office is not new in our country. In the past Hasina regime, there was the newspaper office of Naya Diganta were burnt down, and as well as the editors of Amar Desh and Sangram were physically assaulted, and they also bleeded. So this type of activity is not new in our country, and these misdeeds or this wrong were supported by the regime and the supporters of Hasina regime. They didn't raise any voice against so this time, when some newspaper offices were attacked and burnt down, there is some context. There is the history behind the burning down of some building or regime, because in the past regime, these buildings or these offices grew up on the oppression on the opposition people of opposition party. How much oppression were there? I want to enlist in short. One is the harassment. Every person were harassed. Every opposing person who opposed the view of government, they were harassed starting from the highest level, the leader, the ex-Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, who were harassed, as well as the street hawkers to the lowest level of the society. Every people who opposed the government or who didn't have the favor of the ruling party, they were harassed. And harassment continued in many ways, in financial ways, in political ways, in cultural ways. I will come to that later. And after harassment, there comes assault. The ex-Prime Minister Khaleda Zia were also assaulted, and the supporters of ruling party attacked his car outside his house. So he was assaulted. Similarly, the editor of Amar Desh, Mahmoud Rahman, were also assaulted inside the court area. And after assault comes the expulsion. Out of fear of the government agencies and the people of ruling party, people left their home and they kept themselves hidden. Some went to other town. One of my acquaintance settled in Sylhet, from Satkania to Sylhet, and some of my classmates or brothers they settled in the Middle East. this type of expulsion continued throughout the 15 years of Hasina regime. And then comes the confiscation of property of small land, a small piece of land, to the university, to a bank. Every property or property of opposition were confiscated or taken hold by the ruling party members. And then comes the media trial and propaganda. Here comes a critical and the most notorious issue for which supports the burning down of newspaper office, because these newspapers supported the created the media trial for militancy and created a scene, a drama for militancy, and killed some innocent people and presented to the world that we are suppressing the Islamic militancy in the country. We are doing a great against militancy and terrorism. So these newspaper officers created plots to kill innocent people, and they also created cultural narratives, and they also changed the history of our war of independence, the history of 1971. They changed in many ways. Some martyred, or some freedom fighters were vilified by them, and some innocent people were killed or sentenced to death due to their media trial. The leaders of the opposing Jamaat-e-Islami, they were killed by the judicial killing, and it was supported by the cultural narratives created by those newspapers. Then comes the irregularities and corruption by the administration, as well as the judiciary, as well as the corruption and irregularity in the time of recruitment. Every sector, every person in the country started loving corruption due to the excessive practice of corruption and irregularity in the first Hasina regime. It is true, and everybody now believes that people loves doing corruption, doing irregularity is usual. Giving bribery or speed money is usual, and everybody takes it usually.